Welcome to Play PSVR2, the podcast. Look at our faces, listen to our voices. Only one of us have just given birth to a pound of fudge. That's right. Take a guess. Clearly, the person, the fudge giver, the person who brought the fudge to this world, it looks like he has it on his face. My co-host, Alex. Dude,
Hey,
we have a jam-packed episode. Tell the fans what they are in store for.
Adam, I am the fudge factor here. I'm also the content factor. We have news. We have an interview with 17-Bit talk about Song in the Smoke, Rekindled. We have sales, of course. But first of all, we have juice. Adam, what's your gamer juice today?
Here's the thing. This is wild. This is going to be nuts. I don't know what to expect. I saw this at Jungle Gyms. I mentioned it last time. I saw hop water, and it was lime flavored. And I was like, oh, giddy up. I've never seen this before. Well, it wasn't until I checked out and was halfway home that I realized I think hops as in beer, like hops.
Yep.
I hate beer.
Alcoholic
beer
water,
is disgusting. So I am very afraid. I'm very afraid of this.
I'm a healthy boy. What do you got, Adam? Is it good? Does it taste like beer?
No.
But you know the golden rules of gamer juices. You have to finish this episode.
Oh, dude, this is horrible. It tastes like I put what is an expensive brand of sparkling water, like Perrier. It's like
Perrier.
I put Perrier in my mouth, and then a sweaty old man coming straight from the sauna dumped his nuts in my mouth.
I do that.
Horrible. I do that. It's awful, dude. This is. I don't know if I can finish this. If I get a second gamer juice, a second segment, can I do that?
No, you have to. That's the golden rule again, Adam. Why are you trying to throw gamer juices out the window like this? I pick crappy drinks every week. This week I got something good. V8 Plus sparkling fruit drink, sparkling energy, strawberry kiwi, going down the hatch, keeping me elevated.
Dude,
and
this
sustained.
Is horrible. Like, this isn't like, oh man, I got Mega Man energy drink. It doesn't taste good. This is like,
Adam, I drink
right here. It says tart, sunny, hoppy. All those are bad things.
Weren't two of those your nickname in high school? Hoppy tart. Adam, we gotta keep going. We gotta keep going, Adam. Adam, we got news. Don't get ahead of ourselves, Adam. Bring it home. We got news, Adam. I got a list of news that came out this past week. I want to hit you with, get your opinions. First of all, you know what, Ryan, VR Grid, we love you, man. Thanks for coming on the show. But turns out, you're a big fat phony. Big fat phony, big fat liar. Because yesterday, Gran Turismo 7 went on sale. On sale for $30. Digital, of course. Sony PlayStation Store, part of the Critics' Choice sale.
Correction, $40. It was $39.99, you liar, because I just bought it.
I think you don't have PS Plus, do you?
Yes, I do. And I got the standard edition. I did not get the deluxe edition.
I don't. Honestly, Adam, I don't believe you, but I'm going to let this slide. Because I'm pretty sure I checked the store and
Look it up, ho. 39. Either way, that is a hefty discount. A minimum of $30 discount, potentially $40 if somehow. I looked it up multiple ways. Either way, VR Grid, you almost did me dirty, man. I still love you. But I was accepting I'm going to have to pay $70. When Alex texted me this, when I saw this on Twitter, I was thrilled. Immediately purchased, immediately download. Of course, I'm not going to touch it until February 22nd. But dang it, am I going to touch it real good come 22nd?
Adam, are you going to buy a steering wheel for this? I'm seeing a lot of people on Reddit. They're buying steering wheels for Gran Turismo 7. Has that factored into your calculations at all?
I want to, but dude, my house right now, I've got kayaks, I've got sex chairs, I've got ropes, I've got too much stuff. I found out it's called iStock VR. And it's for Quest and one of the other headsets. I'm trying to see if it's verified for PSVR2, but it's a stock, like we were talking about, so you could use the controllers as a gun. I don't know if it's compatible yet. I'm doing research. There's just too many props in my house. The swing takes a lot of space, so I'm gonna have to skip on the wheel until I can get something else out of the house.
Fair enough. I mean, it is good that the one game that you already own and you've played to death is the game that's taken up the most real estate in your house. But if it wasn't Res, Adam, then I would be disappointed. But I think that it's totally fair game.
Yeah, I that's what they called me in high school too, game, because I'm always game, baby. I don't care what you come to the table with. Let's do it. Throw
I
it
thought they
down on
were,
the table.
I thought they were going to call you fair game in high school.
I don't.
Anyways,
Is that I don't even know. So, Alex, this is great. I think this is an immediate buy, right? Like for almost
yeah.
any VR fan, I can't think of a single person that I could say, you know what, maybe you shouldn't buy that. And you showed me, and it was on Twitter as well. It was like a GIF, right? Where
Mhm.
I don't know anything about cars. You weren't in a car. You were in what, go
Like
kart or
a
something?
Formula One car, like a open air yeah, racing car.
It looked incredible.
It did. And the cool thing is you can see the foveated rendering, right? Because you're watching somebody playing and it's not tracking your eyes. So you can actually see the effect. Like the resolution drops drastically when it's outside of your field of view, which, sounds bad. I mean, you don't notice it if you're really looking for it. It sounds bad for like a watching the video thing, but when you're playing the game, you literally will not see it because you cannot see it because if you look for it, the foveated rendering is going to take care of your eyes and make it look better over there. I'm just so happy that we're probably going to be seeing like some of the best graphics a PS5 can do on VR, which is the opposite of what we had on the PSVR1, where you're seeing like PS3 level graphics on PS4. Now we're seeing PS9 graphics on the PS5. This is what I'm talking about, baby. No other headset's doing that right now the way this is doing that. This is doing that, baby. Moving on, Adam. All that money you saved on Gran Turismo 7, I come bearing bad news. I know you were planning on dropping that extra cash on Hello Neighbor, but Hello Neighbor has been delayed, Adam. I know you're looking forward launch title, play that game that all the kids like. You can get all them kid views on YouTube. Hello Neighbor's been delayed to May 25th. How are you feeling about that?
Listen, they won't even let me near 500 feet of a school, let alone chasing them in virtual reality. I don't care. I'm not playing this game. I was never really interested in it to begin with. I was going to make you purchase it and buy it since you have children, and I was going to just spend more time in Res and Gran Turismo. I'm okay with it. I don't really care. I can't imagine this being a big, heavy hitter. I don't think this really does much damage to the launch lineup in general. So I just really don't care. I certainly one of the listeners can prove me wrong. You can maybe prove me wrong, but I just don't see it happen.
I played the game on a console, and just the normal game on like a PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5 looked like a PlayStation 2 game. The engine and stuff was like janky and broken. I can only imagine that has not been improved with the complexity of VR. So I'm not super thrilled with it, but maybe we'll play it at some point. I know like my nephew really loves Hello Neighbor, so we might get it to play that with him or something. Anyway, I also
Funny because
read.
I love your nephew's neighbor.
Oh, hey, great. Yeah, no, she's nice. I'll introduce you. I also read that the price increased. So like, not only did they delay it,
What?
they raised the price by $10 too on the store from like 29.99 to 39.99, something like that.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
I know. So it's like a janky game. The thing is, this game's a cash cow. These guys have already. It's like a Five Nights at Freddy type game where like they just have tons of money. They don't know what to do with it, so they just port it to every system imaginable. Anyways, not really huge news, but I just wanted to announce it. Next, Adam, did you ever play Tony Hawk? Were you a Tony Hawk Pro Skater fan?
this I think is the worst gamer juice I've ever had in my life. Like, uh, I did when I was in maybe fifth grade. I was never a huge fan, but I played. I can think of the cover. I don't remember which one it was, but okay, yeah, Tony Hawk.
It was the one with Tony Hawk riding a skateboard. Is that the one you played? Because that's the cover of every single one, Adam.
No, you butthole. That's why I didn't go in depth because that's all I remember. What about Tony Hawk? Can I become Tony Hawk in virtual reality?
So the headline was disappointing because it did say like reach your inner Tony Hawk with VR Skater. It's not Tony Hawk's Pro Skater in VR. However, it's VR Skater. It's a first person skating VR game. You're riding a skateboard in VR. You look down, and I couldn't tell exactly what they're doing. I could see the controllers moving, and I don't know if you move the controllers to like make you do an ollie and stuff like that. I will say I was skeptical. I watched some footage. I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued. I liked Tony Hawk. I can only imagine the feeling of like landing like a board slide or something like that, or doing a good kickflip in VR. that would be really fun and satisfying. So the game looks way better than I think it has any right to do. It's already on the PlayStation Store to be added to your wish list, which I did, of course, because I want to know when it gets updated with stuff. Um, does that move the needle for you in any direction? Are you the spirits that were dashed with Hello Neighbor being delayed? Are they brought back up with the announcement of VR Skater coming to PSVR2?
Listen, I've never really wanted to get inside Tony Hawk like this game allows you to do, but I don't know. If it's cheap enough, this is one of those games I think I'll probably wait for it to be on sale, or I'll wait until I play the host of other launch games I really want to play. I will admit, having a skateboard in my house rather than an entire rig for a car is more feasible, but I don't know. It could be cool, but the thing is, right now with the new technology, with the new headset, you could almost convince me that anything is going to be cool at this point. So I don't know if I'm the best judgment of true, unbiased recommendations on what to purchase.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's all going to come down to like where are they landing. Like Tony Hawk Pro Skater is like an arcade skating game. Then there was Skate that came out, like in the 360 era, that was like an ultra simulator skating game that was really fun. It was complicated, and you were really good if you could like land a kickflip, which is like real life skating. Like that, you got to be really good. This looks like it might be a bit more towards the Tony Hawk side than the skate side, but if it strikes that realism and I just feel really good and accomplished doing a kickflip, I'll be excited about it.
Have you ever felt really good and accomplished?
I was feeling good and accomplished about this podcast until just now. Adam, moving on, Kayak VR, the price has been announced. And I told you not to look up the price, and guess what you did? You looked at the price, you jerk.
As soon as I popped up Twitter, it's right there. There's no way to avoid it. I am thrilled that this is only $20. I was really scared it was going to be 30, and I just don't see it at that point. 20 is still, like, I've heard it's so good, but when you have Resident Evil and you have Horizon and you have Crossfire Sierra Squad and you have Rez and Tetris Effect and Gran Turismo, and you have all these other action-packed games that utilize virtual reality so incredibly well, which I understand being in a kayak, that could be immersive as well. I just I can't convince myself that I'm going to want to sit back and be like, you know what? Let's just have a very relaxing kayak ride down the stream. That's just not me. I don't think many people would want that. Do you want that? Like, if you only have 2 hours to play a night, why would you play that over Resident Evil or something?
Maybe I had a stressful day, or maybe I played Resident Evil and it got like really scary or something like that. I do like to have a wind down game. I mean, I liked Mind Lab with VR. I like Zing. I like some of these games that are a lot more chill. And this seems to be like maybe the chillest game of all. Just based on what I hear people who've played it, they're so excited that probably the best version of it is now going to be on PSVR. And at $20, it sounds like a no-brainer. If it's anywhere half as good as what people are saying it is, then it sounds like $20 is a steal for what we're going to be getting. I did read a bit more. Sounds like there is some multiplayer, kind of multiplayer, like asynchronous multiplayer or something, where there's kayak races. But
we're going to be holding hands going down the Serengeti.
It's not simultaneous. So it's like you do a run, and then it records your run, and then you can race against your friend's ghost. Kind of like in Mario Kart. You do time trials, you race against some ghosts and stuff like that. So it's that kind of multiplayer. I think that's kind of cool. I mean, that's probably not relaxing, but it would be just nice to see me blowing past you on a kayak while you're actually in a kayak. I know you put a lot of stock in being good at kayaking, and then I'm going to destroy you at this game. But
that's my other thing is, like, I, in real life, only kayak when I fish. I like to fish and kayak. I don't really like to just kayak because it gets boring. So do you think that real life experience will carry over to virtual reality, or do you think it's separate enough? The change of sceneries, it wouldn't carry over.
So like kayaking in real life is boring because it's just like a static thing and it's flat river and there's not much happening. So you fish, and fishing is also really boring. I don't know why you do either one of these things. This is like you're kayaking in like Antarctica, someplace you can't really kayak. And imagine kayaking and then you see like a glacier fall off into the water. I don't know if it does that, but
exactly, that's what I'm saying. Like, we don't know yet. Like, it may also just be a stream in Antarctica, and it's flat water. You're somewhere you've never been. But I do that kayaking. I'll take you. to the freaking Shelbyville Lake, Bubby. You haven't been there, and we'll kayak, and there we go.
I don't
Kayak
want, but
Mirage.
that's the thing is like it's like if it's too cold, I'm not gonna want to kayak. If it's too hot, I'm not gonna want to be out there like sweating my balls off riding a kayak. I would love to just like there's no prep time, right? Kayaking is like 90% of your time is getting ready to go kayaking, and then 5% of your time is kayaking having a good time. Then 5% of your time is kayaking just waiting for it to be done. But you're down the river. You got to keep going till you get to the end. This is if I'm get tired of it, I'll just stop it.
Dude, your nickname in high school was Peach. What's next?
I don't know where it comes from, but okay. Here's one. I want to bring this up, and I want to call out Shafe Dog for dropping fake news on us. So,
Shafstradamus was wrong.
Big surprise, right? Bloomberg, their writer Mochizuki's
yes.
his last name. He wrote an article saying, "Hey, listen, guys. I know I don't have any evidence, but my inside man, I got a source close to Sony. Sony's cutting their production numbers in half. PSVR2 is not looking so hot, guys. They're having issues. It's not going to be so good." Well, Shay Stradamus, of course, blast that all over the internet, and I have to bat him down and say, dude, listen. This guy said the same thing about the PS5, and then shortly thereafter, it wasn't the case. And apparently, maybe it was kind of the case. Anyways, this guy needs to be taken with a grain of salt. He's been discredited by, not Shay Stradamus, Mochizuki, the author of this for Bloomberg. He said this crap before. Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony has all batted him down saying, dude, you're lying. And then he gets proven to be wrong. Same thing here. No later, it's like less than 24 hours later, Sony comes out with a report saying, we have not cut the production of the PSVR 2. Here's why. I mean, that sounds like spin, right? Sounds like positive spin from Sony. The important thing to remember is Sony is a publicly traded company. They are legally required to tell the truth in their news reports because that affects the stock price. So if they didn't cut the production numbers in half, or if they did cut the production numbers in half, they would have said nothing because they don't want to tank their stock price. And then if they said they didn't cut the production numbers in half, and they actually did cut them in half, then that's lying, and that's falsely inflating the stock price. They'd be in trouble with the SEC. I think I know who I'm going to trust here. Either way, like I'm buying a PSVR 2, and it's shaping up to be like one of the best launches I've ever experienced. But the other side of the coin is like I hate when this happens in the game industry, when people crap on stuff before it comes out. They crap on stuff before they try. They get caught up in this like gamer zeitgeist of like, man, it's so fun to be all like all these other guys and we're all crapping on stuff we don't even know. I hate when that happens. I was so nervous this was going to happen with PSVR 2 before it even got out of the gate. You could already see The Verge and these big publications repeating the story that had no real source and has already been discredited. And they haven't even taken their articles that are just parroting this initial fake article down. So let it be known. Your authority is here. Play PSVR 2 is here. They didn't cut the production numbers. They didn't. You're going to get your PSVR 2, and there's going to be some extras, but it's not going to be overproduced. They have extras because people are going to see the footage. They're going to see the games. They're going to want to get one themselves. They want to go to GameStop and get one. GameStop's not going to have any, apparently, because they still don't have pre-orders, but that's okay. You don't need to get it at GameStop. Order it directly from Sony and leave the scalpers out of it. Adam?
Yeah, I hate this stuff. I'm going to be honest. I hate the reports. I hate these people who get them early and they put their initial reactions and thoughts. Like, it's all just a bunch of freaking junk, man. So the Bloomberg I thought was hilarious because at first I was a little concerned and I was like, oh, that's not good. And then, of course, I will admit, Shafstradamus keeps arguing that, hey, Sony doesn't freaking say anything about the PSVR. They don't make any comments, but this was the one thing they commented on, which I think he has a point there. But even so, now I'm seeing videos and YouTube shorts and all this stuff coming out with people initially getting their reactions in, and I hate it. It just doesn't make any freaking sense. People that even this Nathy VR guy, whatever, who's supposed to be a VR dude, came out, I was like, I forgot. I'm trying to look it up on Twitter and I can't find it fast enough. He had some complaint that was like, oh, I don't know, foveated rendering, something didn't work well. And then he got just a bunch of comments of how when other people have tried it, it worked fine. So they don't know what the F he's talking about. These other people, you've mentioned Verge, IGN, well, they don't play VR, so they don't have a baseline. They'll play something, they'll be like, oh, it sucks. Like, they don't get it. And I'm not going to watch or read any of it. Just like we did for CES, I don't care. Not watching it. I don't care what they have to say. I want to see it with my eyes and I want to be surprised. Like, is it something to you, something special or exciting when you don't know anything and you get the box and you rip it open? You don't know what the instructions look like. You don't exactly know every detail of the headset, and you don't know how you're supposed to hold the controllers or the exact details. Like, to me, that's exciting. And if you watch all these reviews and you like they're posting what do the instructions look like and what's the packaging look like, what's the startup screen, like that loses some of the luster for me of spending so much freaking money to have a thing on day one. Do you feel the same way, or are you actually going to watch these things? Do you care about seeing previews and just photos of people with them on, instructions, all that crap?
I've never been like an unboxing dude. Like I don't want to watch somebody open up something that I like want to get or will get. Even if it's something I'm not going to get. Like why do I want to watch somebody unbox it? I mean, obviously there's a market out there for it. Some people do like to see this stuff. Maybe it's like, living out their fantasy because they're not going to get a PSVR 2. They just want to see what it's like to get one. But to me, like there's so few magical moments in gaming nowadays because we just have so much cool stuff, admittedly. But like I don't know. Did you ever have a GameCube, Adam? Did you play GameCube?
No, I
Okay,
wasn't a
well,
freaking Nintendo loser.
this is simple and it's kind of stupid, but like a magical moment is the first time you like plug it into your TV, put in, Rogue Squadron or whatever it is, and you turn on that GameCube and it's rinky dink and it's stupid. It does that little thing with the GameCube bouncing around.
It's cool, yeah.
And it's just like, wow, I'm playing GameCube. Like I love those little sweet moments that you get, and your nostalgia immediately like affixes to it. You're gonna remember that. You're gonna remember that feeling you had right there. I don't want that taken away from me. So no, I'm not watching these unboxing videos and stuff like that. I don't want to see what the manual looks like. I want to fiddle with the controller and figure out like how it feels, how I'm enjoying it, how my hand fits into it, how what does it look like when it comes out of the box? Because these boxes have like cool arrangements and stuff like that. I don't need somebody ruining that for me. So yeah, I don't. Also, I think that Nathy VR guy, like I was reading comments on it. I think he got like a pre-dev kit or something like that, and he called it an unboxing video for PSVR2, but it's not like the real PSVR2. It's like somebody's dev kit, which I bet his foveated rendering wasn't even like mapped to his eyes. It was probably mapped to the eyes of whoever illegally lent him this dev kit. It's like stuff like that. Like, okay, whatever. Everybody else in the world who's gone through an actual setup of the PSVR 2 has been like, this is great. This works brilliantly. We just talked to the Song and Smoke devs, and they were like, we tried to break it, and we couldn't break it. So I don't know who I'm going to trust. The developers who made a game. I mean, sure, they're pitching the game, but they're telling us that, they pushed it to its limits and they didn't have any issues with it. Or this guy who, his bread and butter is making VR videos. The best way to get clicks on like a VR video is to talk trash about something everybody else is hyped about. A lot of the news stuff I take tongue in cheek. A lot of these videos and stuff they're primarily out there to get clicks, and then the second is to be out there to get just some information out there, be a part of this space. So I take it all with a grain of salt. But
yeah, it's just so annoying to me why the whole cycle. I just hate the media, man. I know maybe people can argue. I don't consider us part of the media. We're not breaking news. We're not trying to get clicks. We're not, all that crap. Are we part of the media?
We're bringing the media down from within, Adam.
Ah, that's
I
right.
told you. If the media is the fifth pillar, we are the sixth pillar.
We're the sixth sense.
We're the sixth sense. Like we're PlayStation 6.
Sense.
Thank you, Adam. Last piece of news here. This is bad news coming and stuff like that. I want to bring things back up a bit. Light Brigade. This is a game. We watched that launch trailer. We were both kind of like, I don't know. I'll say this. That is maybe one of the worst announcement trailers or launch trailers we've seen for a game that is shaping up to look pretty awesome. So we're going to try to get him on the podcast, do an interview. But Eddie from the company making this game, I forget their name. Funktronic Labs. Eddie from Funktronic Labs has been posting videos on Reddit every day of him playing a game. First one was just like, hey, showing you the weapons. And it shows him like grab a rifle, load it up, cock the chamber, and then shoot the gun a couple times. And it's very snappy and fast. And he's shooting these targets and it looks super accurate. And there's none of this weird like wobble and twitch that you normally see in VR games. It felt smooth and seamless. And then he posted a video today, I think, of just like a playthrough of a level in the game, and I'll be damned, this game looks awesome. It looks nothing like the trailer. The trailer showed you like holding your hands and some guy doing like a magic spin, looked like Kingdom Hearts or something like that. No,
Yes.
what this game is, it's in death with guns. You remember that game In Death? That awesome archery game?
Yeah.
Where yeah, it's that, but with guns. It looks awesome. You have different, it's roguelike, so the levels are different every time. You go through the level, you start off with a rifleman class or something like that, and you're shooting this like World War I, World War II rifle to fight these bad guys. You get magic spells you can throw at them and stuff like that. If you die, then you start the level over, you go back and retrieve your body like you do in Dark Souls or something, like any good roguelike, and that helps you level up your character so you get stronger. You have other classes that you can be, like a sniper or an assault rifle user. Anyways, this game is looking awesome. The gameplay looks great. Looks so fun to have gunplay. You're gonna have ghosts of other people playing the game, running around the environment with you. I don't know. I'm getting super hyped about this game that we were poo-pooing on earlier. So I just wanted to mention, like, Light Brigade's bringing the goods, Adam. Have you watched any of this footage? Are you getting more hyped on it?
No. I haven't been watching the footage yet, though. I mean, I don't know. They have an opportunity to sway me, but right now I'm not swayed.
Did you like In Death?
I think the mechanics were very good. I didn't have an incredibly fun time. I think roguelikes, unless they're very specific in helping you truly advance and become better with each run, I don't like them because I feel like you're wasting your time. And what I liked about In Death was the somewhat realistic visuals, where if I remember correctly, Light Brigade is more, I don't know how you want to call it. It's not like realistic, right? It's not a cartoon, but
That's fair. Like the environments are kind of realistic. The characters are not that super realistic, but they're still like human characters that have a bit of like artistic license to them. I really liked In Death. The worst part about In Death was using the move controllers. Once you get around that, it's an extremely fun game. So if I can play a game like In Death with analog sticks and good tracking, and then with guns instead of like a bow and arrow that's going to be kind of cumbersome to use, that's got me hyped, man. So we're getting too many games that are getting me hyped, and it's looking great. And this is another fun thing about PSVR2. VR Grid, he talked, and understandably, there's like a bit of dismay that a lot of Quest games are coming, right? A lot of games that already exist are coming to PSVR2. But what we're getting is like only the good games on the other VR systems are coming to PSVR2, and it's the best version of those games too. So it's almost like a VR greatest hits is coming to PSVR2, where we get to play the best version of the best games now on PSVR2. So, bring them all. I don't care. I'm hyped for this. I'm hyped for Song in the Smoke, another game that was kind of hampered on PSVR1. Now it's a great game in its own right, apparently, and now we're getting a PSVR2 version that just puts it on that next level. It's so wonderful. What a time to be alive, Adam. We got like 20 more days of waiting, and we're just going to be up to our gills in quality content. I'm so pumped, man. The hits keep coming.
Our load's going to be blown. That's just how it is.
That's just how it is. Yeah. Well, Adam, that's it for the news. Let's move on. We got the interview with our homeboys, 17-bit. We got Jake, Raj, and Colin ready to talk to us about Song in the Smoke. So we will see you in segment 2 with our interview on Song in the Smoke. All right, welcome to Play PSVR2, the podcast. We are here with a special treat for you all today. Something you can sidle up beside and warm your bones and maybe hear a little song in the smoke. That's right, we have Jake, Colin, and Raj from 17-bit, the developers of the upcoming PSVR2 launch title, Song in the Smoke, Rekindled edition. So guys, how are you doing tonight, today? I think it's day for you guys. Morning.
It's for us, yeah.
Yeah.
Good. We're very excited.
Awesome.
We just got pushed through. Raj has been killing himself in the Sony backend, getting us cleared for all territories on launch day, and it has not been an easy path, but we did it.
All right.
And everybody's gonna be playing this game very soon. So
the world is better for it. Thank you for the push, Raj.
with each week, we're just getting more and more amped up, and just more games are coming out. Finding out that this is going to be a free upgrade to the PS4 version. That is incredible. Before we actually dive into a lot of the questions and learning more about your game, we always ask, we got gamer juices. In the first segment, mine was awful, so I'm going to crack open some milk tea. I don't know if this is going to be good or not. Is that Japanese? Can you tell, Alex? Is that a...
Got some Japanese characters, yeah. I mean, it could be...
Oh, so you guys, so you're based in Japan, right? So you can maybe read this, because I don't know what milk tea is, but I don't want to talk about myself. I want to know when you guys are coding, when you're gaming, when you're testing, all three of you, what is your go-to gamer juice?
I drink a lot of water.
Ah, water again.
I love water.
There's
black coffee.
There's a Godzilla themed energy drink that you can get from certain vending machines, and I'm kind of into that. I don't know what's in it, but I'm into it.
Does it taste like Red Bull or Monster, or is it a totally different taste?
Well, they say it's inspired by Godzilla, so but it kind of tastes like a budget knockoff Monster, but I'm kind of okay with that.
Yeah.
They say Red Bull is like extract from like a bull's scrotum. So I wonder if the Godzilla energy drink is extract from...
That's exactly where my mind went to. I was like, they can produce so much with each extraction. So
oh, that's hilarious.
Oh.
So to hop into the game, I'm excited to learn about this. So I will admit, I have not played this on the PSVR, especially when I find out that things are going to be on PSVR2. I wait it out because I want to play with the newest and the best, right? So how about give me a high-level overview of what your game is about, what's the vision, and what can me or others who haven't played this game yet expect here on February 22nd?
Well, it's a long story. The short version is that when VR was first coming into play, we were very excited about the concept. The night that we got our first Oculus dev kits, Colin hacked away at it all night, and by the end of the evening, we were playing a little bit cross-eyed, but kind of versions of Half-Life 2 and
Unreal Tournament?
2. No, it was Half-Life 2 and Left 4 Dead 2. Oh. And we were all just like completely flattened and completely blown away. And the idea of not playing a game but being in one became this kind of immediate mantra in my head. And the real drive, like this game had already been kind of spec'd out as kind of a top-down kind of like action basher game kind of survival thing. But the idea of building a world that you could just sort of live in and spend time in, that could, you could have a limited amount of finite objects that behave physically. You understand inherently their use, if it's a stick or a rock, like you just sort of get it. And we could build a whole living world in this virtual simulated space that you could live in, you could make your way in, and so it becomes a survival game just by the fact that you are technically surviving in this world with the resources at hand, and sort of how to kind of like cook that up into a beautiful package that was like endlessly entertaining, and more than anything sort of behaved predictably, and you understood kind of why things were doing. I didn't think about video game stuff so much. Like I kept with this mantra with the team of like, these characters should behave like a deer would behave. Like it's not a game character. It's just like you are hunting a deer in the grass, and it's a real setup. It's a real deal. And this thing's trying to avoid you. It's nervous. You're kind of sneaking up on it. Like you could just do these really deep engagements with this really kind of limited vocabulary set of like, yeah, you're hunting a deer with a handmade bow and arrow. Go. Like a million things can happen, in that construct. And so that's kind of where it all kicked off.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. And I think it's pretty unique. Like there's nothing in the PSVR library that I can at least immediately think of that this is so unique and different and really provides additional like gameplay and options for us to do. I noticed, obviously, when we hear survival, at least myself, I think of a lot of the horror genre. Like you're trying to survive and there's things jumping out at you and monsters coming at you. I don't think maybe necessarily this is that, certainly correct me. But are there times where there is like tension or stress because it is somewhat survival, right?
I mean, it's a beautiful world. And this is one of the real tenements of the sort of aesthetic direction of the game too, was like we wanted to make this beautiful, fantastic prehistoric world. It's not all dark and gritty and grim and this terrible place. I tend to like games that are a little bit more not hellscapes, so I wanted to do something really beautiful and kind of nice. But yes, there are giant predators in there that want to eat your face, and like, so you're going to have to deal with that. And yes, sometimes it scares the living shit out of you because these things are unpredictable and they are spawning. And like, even as the designers, we don't know where they're going to be. They might be waiting for you. They might be stalking you. They wait for these terrible moments to kind of, jump you. And yes, I mean, our testers were constantly screaming, falling out of their chairs, like, it is a terrifying game sometimes, but a lot of times it's really nice. But you're always there's always a tension. Like, it's a dangerous place, and you're literally surviving by your wits. You're like trying to scavenge enough food. You're hunting. You're trying to build up your camp. You're trying to explore and kind of figure out the space. And all the time there are these big scary things out there that want to eat you. And so it's this constant battle for survival.
And the soundscape is building with tension also, right? Like if something is intense, if you're being preyed upon, you may want to relax, but you can't. The soundscape is changing, and the soundtrack is a bit of a different approach, but it's just amazing because it's musical, but it's constantly shifting with everything that's going on in the environment. So whether you should be on edge or you can relax for a moment.
Nice. So you guys mentioned you had like a top-down action type game spec'd out for this. I just thinking about your previous games: Galaxy, 2D arcade shooter, Skulls of the Shogun, turn-based strategy game. Those were 2D kind of top-downish view. This is a pretty big leap, right? It's like the first 3D game for your studio, and sounds like you already had the idea ready for another top-down action game. That's a big leap. What motivated you to suddenly go into VR? Did you get the VR dev kit because you were ready to go?
I mean, I've been fascinated with VR since way back in the day. Like when the first VR arcades hit, I was at them. I'm from Seattle area, and I grew up.
Virtual Boy? Did you have a Virtual Boy?
I actually never had a Virtual Boy, but
Colin did. All right.
Yeah, I've always been into this stuff. I went to talks back in the '90s where like VR was going to be right around the corner. It was going to be the next big thing, and like I was waiting for a very long time. I'm a big fan of depth perception. I'm a huge proponent of depth perception. And I think video games, I mean, this is another rant that I'm not going to go all the way into, but I'll just touch on it. I think video games have lost their immediacy in terms of response and input since they've gone 3D, because you're not able to equally assess situations in a 3D simulated space on a 2D plane. Like 2D games are tight because they just, you can understand arcs, you can understand trajectories, like you're completely plugged in moment to moment. You don't have to do as much guesswork. Like you can understand the arc of Mario's jump or whatever. In a 3D game, you're like running and like, I hope I make this jump. I don't really know. Like there's a real disconnect that I have a real problem with. VR allows you to not babysit a camera, which I also hate in modern video games. I hate that job. I don't like it. I don't want to babysit the camera. I want to be doing my action stuff. I want to be in the game. And so VR completely sidesteps that by giving you the best camera that's ever been known, which is called your neck, which you have been using since you were born. It's super innate. You don't even think about it. Like it works perfectly every time. It looks exactly where you want to look every time. And you have 3D depth perception now. So all of a sudden you can play 3D games like as natively as you could do anything in 2D. So it's like this great step forward for video games. Like it's like, oh my God, I'm in this world. Things expect the way, they act the way that I expect them to. I can understand the arc of my bow as I'm shooting this arrow because I have that 3D depth perception. Just VR to me, like it is a whole new medium. And I've been doing games for a long time. All of us have been making games for a long time. We have a studio full of old dudes. But this was like, I saw this as a wave of like a whole new thing. And it was really interesting because we're all really good at making video games. We've been making video games for a long time. But making a VR game, turns out, is a whole new thing. There's all kinds of new standards. There's all kinds of stuff. And when we started this game 6 years ago, there wasn't a lot of answers about what does an inventory mean in VR? What does a survival game mean in VR? Like, we're looking at stuff, we're trying to get answers, and we're like, there's nothing out there. Like, we had to kind of just like, was it this? Is it this? Is it this? So even with all of our, years of experience of making video games, this was a whole new challenge. But I was like, this is kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity to like be in that first wave of like figuring out what the stuff means and following it along. And, I was so excited about all this stuff. Like, there was a time there where I, before the Oculus retail kit launched, when it was the DK1, I guess, and then the DK2, I was downloading every single demo I could find. I was playing everything. I was just like, wow, VR is the best because it is basically being inside a video game, and it literally changes the entire landscape of everything. And so, yes, we were specialized in kind of these more arcadey kind of action games, but this was just too much of an opportunity to say no to. And then Sony believed in it, and they were like, heck yeah, this is great. We had a good relationship with them. We'd done a couple of projects with them by that time, and they were just like, yeah, here's the keys, go make it. And we were like, let's do it.
That
was
so
it.
cool. Yeah, so when you're mentioning, and something I don't make video games, so I don't really consider. But when you were talking about the inventory, and I'm sure a lot of the other aspects of your game, that VR was so new, there wasn't a status quo necessarily on how you do things. So as a developer, certainly that makes it much more difficult, but does that freedom, do you like that, or does it make it so much more stressful and harder because now you got to pull things out of thin air and experiment with things that maybe you don't necessarily know will work?
It's kind of both things, right? Like there's a stress, but there's also an excitement. After 20 years of making games, there's no rule book to go. Like you use all your experience that you've banked, and you can kind of, use as an anchor point. But it is doing things, fresh. After a while, video games have been pigeonholed into all these different genres, right? And that's why indie games have been so great, because you're trying different things that are not just like the one of the 7 different genres you want to fit into. And so it's cool. You have to develop an inventory, and you're like, wow, this takes you back to when you first started in the industry and everything was new. Your suspension of disbelief returns all of a sudden, and you're back into invention.
Yeah, something I always say was that this is easily the most interesting project I've ever done in my 25 years of making games. Like nothing was this interesting and challenging.
Anything was on the table. Like for a while, we were like, it's gonna use the aim controller. Like,
oh wow, no way.
I believe
That's
we had a
wild.
prototype where we had this guy up and running.
And it was pretty great. Like it was with the sticks, it was way better than the Move controllers. Like I really liked this thing, and then support just sort of faded for it. The point is, at that time, there were other people doing, solving the same problem multiple ways. You're like, well, these guys solved it this way. I don't really like that. There's some good takeaways in there. This element of that worked, but this doesn't really work. And these guys solved it a totally different way. I also don't like that. And so nothing was like, yeah, that's our guy. We should do it that way. It was just like, kind of like testing stuff and trying things and, reiterating over and over and over again. So it was a very long, drawn out, kind of painful process. And it was challenging and frustrating, but at the same time, it was awesome and super invigorating. So yeah, an amazing experience that I'll never forget.
Yeah,
it's one of my favorite times in like a video game life cycle, generational life cycle, where like the technology catches up with the ideas to a degree, but you're still figuring out how these things happen. So the games that come out aren't just clones of the most successful game that happened recently. It's nobody's done these kind of games before, and so you get the really magical stuff. Sometimes it can be kind of broken a little bit. There's some jank associated with it, but you still get to see like really fun ideas being experimented with. I mean, you think about like back in the day, there was tons of roguelikes, then there wasn't for the long time. Then they're having a resurgence again. Same kind of stuff is going to happen in VR, I imagine. But it's so exciting to see developers like you guys just throwing things to the wall, seeing what's sticking, and just having fun with the game design all over again.
I think if you look at our roster of stuff that we've done, everything we do is pretty progressive and takes risks, and we're always aiming to explore new territory and kind of do stuff in a different way that hasn't been done before, but is also really good and kind of an update of a modern, like a classic genre. This one's kind of outside of that because it was so new. But if you look at the kind of the stuff that we like to do, and like, my career, I was lucky enough to work on a bunch of really crazy stuff. Like I worked at Sega back in the day in Tokyo. I worked on Space Channel 5, which was a very weird, unique thing. I worked on Res, which took us forever to figure out what we were building. Yeah,
yes, that's like, I won't even get into it. That's one of our favorite VR games.
Yeah, me too.
So it's crazy.
Stunning. Yeah, I actually did the enemies for stage 1 and stage 2, and I worked on a bunch of the text and stuff like that.
No way! Oh my! I want to focus on your game, but holy crap! We need to have you back. Just that.
I would love
alone.
to talk about it. Yeah, I would love to talk about it. That's a great game, and I'm so happy now because that game keeps being relevant. It keeps being in the discussion, and Mizuguchi-san's dream of continuing to work on this thing is. I'm so happy for him. So that's all great. The point is, and then after that, I worked when I worked with Raj at EA in Los Angeles, and I worked with Steven Spielberg on this big crazy new thing that never ended up shipping. But like most of my professional career has been done doing things that hadn't been done before, and we spent a lot of time scratching our heads, not knowing what we were doing, knowing we want to do something meaningful, knowing we want to do something different, but like really not having a template to adhere to and kind of look at the successes of other games. And so that's just my that's my normal space. Like I'm used to this, and it's tough, and sometimes I got to talk the team into like believing in the vision, and people are like, I don't think that's going to be possible. I'm like, yeah, we'll get there. Like sometimes it takes longer than we would like, and we don't get rich doing this, but we always provide really cool games at the end of the day that are really well reviewed and really loved by our community. So I can't complain about that.
Yeah, for sure. This next question, going back to Song in the Smoke, is I guess maybe a two-parter. I'll tackle the first part, then I'll take Alex, or let Alex take the second. So I noticed that this is going to be for PSVR2 a free upgrade to the PS4. And so we as fans, as players, love this, right? Because we buy the game, and then things like Tetris Effect or Rez, you have to pay additional upgrade fees, or you have to buy the game all over again. So we love hearing this news. But from a studio, I would be curious if you wouldn't mind giving some insight on how you decided to make it free. Maybe it's that you thought that now more people will buy it, or maybe you're throwing the fans a bone and you're like, hey, if you bought it, you're getting rewarded for this upgrade. What goes into a decision like that, and how did you determine that, yeah, we're going to give this a free upgrade for those who have already bought it?
Colin, you want to? This is kind of your initiative, I think. I mean, you were the one that drove it.
Colin basically told us if we didn't do it, then he'd murder us. So
I was, but the thing is, we didn't know what everybody else was going to be doing. But I just kind of assumed that, hey, if we give folks a free upgrade for the game that they already bought, they're probably going to maybe play the game again, or it seemed like, okay, so it seemed like the right thing to do. But that does not always line up with the correct financial thing to do. That is why we have Raj, who either will push back or let us go through with it. I felt like our PSVR fan base was so like great and super rabid and supportive.
Rabid is a good word, yeah.
And they're just so awesome. And I was like, I can't make these dudes pay again. Well, personally, I wouldn't want to do that.
But to Colin's point, I mean, financially, it's not a wise move, but really standing by the fans and delivering on the promise of the original PSVR. Like, that headset is great. I don't think there's no love lost. Nobody really is a fan of the Move controllers. You need the sticks. Sony came through. The new headset is awesome. It's got so many great features. The Sense controllers are amazing, and they have the sticks. It's like, if you played it and loved it on the PSVR, then how could we not invite you back in to try it on PSVR2? And Colin and the team knocked it out of the park as far as like the upgrade. So should it be a paid for upgrade as far as the content that's in there? Absolutely. But
I mean, I'm just personally I think like the enhanced studios, an upgrade fee where you've already paid for the base game. I think that makes a lot of sense. I am bummed. Like, I just bought Moss 2. I don't really want to buy it again, but I want to play it on PSVR 2, so I'm gonna. Yeah. And I get it. And I know firsthand how much work and time it requires. But I would prefer if studios threw you a bone and if you were already in the club, giving you a discount on drinks would be nice. I don't know.
But let's be clear. Like getting something from PSVR to PSVR 2 is like not turnkey. Like it takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
And it may be the case where the team is not the team that made the original game is on something else, and you need to get some other guys and ramp them up, and it's going to cost more because they're not familiar with the code base. There's a million things that can affect that decision, and I think we basically just lucked out.
Well, we'll see. If it's not here next week, you'll know why. But yeah, if you're a gamer and you like this game, you should definitely play it, and it's a great excuse to jump in and play it again, because it is a totally different game at this point. Like, we've added some features that just fundamentally change the flow of the overall game, and it's so much better than it ever was before. It's not even funny.
I will say. Oh, go ahead, Colin.
Okay. So I think another reason why we were really pushing towards the free upgrade, because we were like, well, we're not going to do that much to it. And so I
remember those days.
So we got the game ported, we got it up and running on the PSVR 2, and it was pulling like 500 frames a second. Like, it was the dev kit was just laughing at us. It was like, really? Wow, good, real challenging for me to run this game. I kind of felt guilty. I was like, well, maybe I should try to put some more stuff in it. And then I just kind of kept going on nights and weekends, just trying to sneak in effects. Like there was a lot of stuff I'd wanted to do before with effects, but we had to hold back because of, we also shipped the game on Quest 1, Quest 2, and the baseline was always PlayStation VR. We weren't going to do a Quest version until maybe like 2 years into development.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, how are we going to do this? Because Jake refused to compromise. I was like, we got to make the levels smaller and block the sight line so you can't see too much, because our game is massive. You can just, go to the top of the big hill and just look everywhere, and there could be anything anywhere at any time. And Jake was like, no, it's got to be like that on the Quest that has like the power of like a cell phone. So we made it work. It nearly killed us, but basically the PSVR was always the baseline for this game. So when people are like it's a Quest port, I get mad.
No, yeah.
I bled making that port down to the Quest.
And I think the thing that kind of ties it all together is, Jake spoke to it. We don't know. Nobody should go be an indie game maker if they're chasing money, right? Like, this is not the way to get rich. We are game lovers and game makers because, it's the passion that drives it. And so literally the whole team just didn't stop working on it. It started out as like, okay, let's get it on that platform so we can stay relevant and get, into the new hardware and the stick controllers. But it turned into this thing of like, if we're going to do it, are we doing this just to, clock in and clock out? Or are we doing this because, we want this to live on forever in its best form?
Once we got
it was an addiction. Like it was a slippery slope. And then people had, had some time off of it. And, there was burnout at the end of the project. Obviously, there always is. Everyone was like, I never want to fucking see this thing again. But after some time, and then all of a sudden it's like this new box of toys, and everyone was like, oh, and we had the stuff that was kind of half finished. We kind of didn't have time, or we didn't have quite the power to pull it through. And then we could pop that back in.
Right. So Jake, can you talk about the free jump, the free jump mode? Because Alex was our lead programmer. Alex we
were done to submit, like literally done. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, yeah. Alex, our very passionate lead engineer, who's a brilliant engineer, and it was a big part of Song in the Smoke. Towards the end of wrapping up the port, he was just like, God, everybody on the forums, we have our Discord. He's like, everybody wants the same thing. Everybody wants free movement. And we had actually experimented with it a long time before, but like so long ago that we were still even suffering from motion sickness as a studio. Like that, those days are long gone now. Everyone's got stomachs of steel. And I really liked it. I thought it was really cool, but like we were like, the nav mesh is tricky and this and that. There's all these edge cases and like all this stuff. And we're just like, man, we just don't have time. So we took it out, and it was just like manual, you point, you have your arc and you jump. And so like we're finishing the game basically.
So done.
And Alex is like, I can do this. I can make this happen. We're like, I was like, dude, really? I'm like, I believe him, because he has never failed me. But I was like, that sounds like a stupid thing that you're talking about right now. But I want to believe, because it's awesome. And he's like, let me do some tests. And we tested it. And, Colin's like, you can jump off cliffs and like shoot a guy in the face. And like, what? I was like, you're right. This is pretty cool. And then we started playing with it, and we started cleaning it up, and we kind of talked, and some new tools came online, and we were like, this is a stretch. This is a gamble, but everything in this business is always a gamble. But we're like, man, this is a really cool feature. And if we can pull it off, it's going to take a couple different guys doing different things. But if we can make it happen, and we did, and it's awesome, and it literally changes the entire game, because now you can slip and fall. Like we had it on these like safe little. You basically couldn't fall off stuff. Like you would go to the edge of a thing, and just that'd be it. So like we have all these like little cliffs and stuff like this, and like little paths to like power ups and things like that, little herbs and spices and stuff like that. And before, you would just kind of wantonly sort of click through it, get your stuff, and get back out. Now you're like I'm scared. I'm make this jump, and like it's a big deal, and you get up to the thing, and like you can slip and fall off. And so all of a sudden the game is like this whole new like relationship with the environment and the intensity of the whole thing. Like it becomes a first-person shooter in VR, only in a way that we never had before. So there's this whole like this fluidity of movement and this kind of like natural state of being with the space. And now we also have this kind of real-time grapple where you're looking with your eye tracking, so you can like run and look at an edge, and as you get close enough, even if you're in the air, you can get close enough to like let it activate, you can pull yourself up. So you have way more movement and agency in this space, which is really important because these animals can also go anywhere you can, and they're large and trying to kill you. And so running around and jumping and climbing off stuff and running and jumping, like it's this a whole new element to the game that's like my favorite part of the whole game now, which is crazy because, you know, we built this thing over the course of years, and like it just went like 200% better with this crazy last minute Hail Mary we made. But sometimes, you know, you get the touchdown. So
that's great to hear, because I mean, I saw like a video you guys just released recently, I think, that showed like the free jump in motion. I was like, hey, that's a really nice feature. You know, a lot of people like locomotion. It's just enhanced locomotion, but that's cool. But you guys explaining, I was like, no, now you're moving around in the environment rather than like shuffling around in the environment, and you can jump and clamber. It makes it like almost like a free running type thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, of course, you know, we have a lot of options because, you know, VR comfort levels are not like personality quirks. They're like, some people literally get sick from certain things. Everybody's got their own little recipe of like what they can handle. Personally, I'm totally like rock solid stomach now with VR, except I don't like smooth turn. I still don't like it. I'll either do, you know, turn myself, or I'd use the snap turn. That's the one thing that just kind of, you know, sets me off. But now I can do these big running jumps, and my stomach doesn't go flying through my head when I land anymore. It did early on, but yeah, it's fantastic. So I'm looking forward to everyone who's played the game before, people who haven't played the game before. I do recommend turning it on the free motion and seeing if you can handle it, because it is awesome.
Oh, that's great. So talking about the PSVR2 version now, so what element of the PSVR2 version do you think is the greatest enhancement over the PSVR? We'll go ahead and take the free jump and the eye tracking clambering out of there. What do you think is the biggest improvement you've seen taking this to PSVR2?
I mean, Colin went crazy with the visuals, and the headset is so nice that, you know, the field of view is bigger, the resolution is much higher, you know, the frame rate is just like buttery and super smooth. And so, I mean, I remember, you know, I went through another feature, which I'll get into, is this idea of a Jake mode. And we have a reputation at the studio of making games that are too hard, because I'm playing it every day, and I'm like, I always want to be challenged. And so I'm like, make it harder, like all the time, like, I'm playing up here, but like new users are down here, and I want to be able to appeal to everybody. And so I was like, early on, we're like, okay, we're gonna make a Jake mode, and he can go nuts, and he can have it as hard as he wants, but we can also make a game for normal people too. That'd be great. And so where was I going with this? Jesus.
It's hard. It's hard, but it's balanced.
While he remembers that, just so you know, Jake also has menu items on many of the restaurants here in Kyoto also, because Jake wants it his way and convinces them and turns them into believers in his way. So you have like Jake burritos and Jake style on many menus here too.
The point is, yeah, the difficulty thing came online, and it's a big difference. There was another point I was getting towards. I forget.
Your favorite part of the PSVR2.
Oh, right. The visuals though are really I was playing Jake mode. That's what it was. I was going through the whole game, making sure we were doing another fine tuning, we were balance tuning, and kind of like, you know, reading all the feedback from the users over the years on the Discord, and kind of like trying to do what we could to kind of, you know, make this the ultimate version of the game. So I played through the whole game just recently in super hardcore mode with the free movement on, and it was like awesome. It was like the best experience of me playing this game the whole time we've had it. But I remember so many times just walking around just being like, my God, like this looks insane. Like, you know, coming from spending all that time in Quest and even PSVR, even the high-end PC version, the PSVR2 version just destroys everything. Like it's so beautiful. Like the fidelity is so high now. And like Colin added all these subtle things, and we added so much more fidelity and just like little details, but there's so many of them, they all add up to just like, oh my God, this is just a world apart. And I remember just walking around going, this game is beautiful. Like I'm so happy to just be here and just be spending time in this space. Like it's so great.
It's a big open world. Like we're simulating these big levels, and we have like full day-night cycles, and you know, you can go anywhere. Animals can pretty much get to anywhere you can, so you always got to be on your toes. So I just kind of love getting in there and like seeing how the weather changes, or like, you know, trying to like track animals like through their footprints. And it's just like you really feel like you're in a world where other stuff is happening, regardless of you being there or not. Making trailers for this game is extremely difficult because nothing is scripted. Like I just put on the headset and I start recording, and I hope something interesting will happen, and it usually does. But I'm never ever able to recreate it. Even if I like do a save game beforehand, if I go back and reload the save, the hyenas are like going to do something else, or like start stalking me in a different way. So it's just like this wild, big, open simulation, and I just love it.
And you need to understand, like, Colin's our technical art director, and so he's in terms of shaders and sort of polygon counts, and like he's kind of the head of the visual, like the technical visual side of things. And he, we squeezed him and we broke him, taking that PSVR game, pushing it into Quest 1, and like everything going this way, and everything being like less and less and less, and like shaving this off. Let him go to sleep for a while and rest, and then like, hey, sky's the limit. Go the other direction. He was just like, he just went insane. And he's like, what if we do this? What if we do this? And he's just like throwing stuff in, and we're like, I don't know if and he's like, let's just break it. Let's go as far as we can and break it, and then we'll kind of come back a little bit. I was like, that sounds cool. And so
scared the crap out of me on a regular basis.
But like that, I'm
all those little things coming together. You're like, okay, it was totally worth it. It's insane.
Yeah, I'm super excited. So, Colin, certainly you could probably attest to this. So, we obviously haven't tried the PSVR2 yet. You have played it on PSVR1. You designed it for PSVR1. Now you got to see it in PSVR2. It clearly sounds like the resolution jump is astronomical. From a scale of 1 to 10, when we first put the PSVR2 on and see the visuals and experience that atmosphere, when we're used to PSVR, like 0 to 10, how floored are we going to be, do you think?
Okay. So let me give you my answer from when we first got the headset, and there weren't any other games for us to play really. So we just kind of had our game. We're still kind of developing in a vacuum. We haven't played anyone else's games yet, so we don't know. Mm-hmm. But the first time I put it on, I was like, oh yeah, this is okay. This is pretty good. Like this is like objectively better than Jake, what's that, like the fancy Vive you've got?
The Index.
Yeah. I was like, this is like better than the Index, and like the OLED is really nice, and the refresh rate is great. You can hit up to 120 on it. We run at 90.
And the seal around your face, like it's such a little thing, but it's pitch black. Like when you have the thing on, even if the lights are bright on, you can't see anything. It is pitch black.
Even with glasses, that's good to know for us glasses wearers.
But from that point, I was like, oh, this is good. Like the good wide field, like this is good. But so I would say like at that point, it was like a 7 out of 10. I was like, this is good, but it's not the quantum leap. Then we got the eye-tracked foveated rendering working, like late in the game, like about like maybe like a month before we were done. And we turned it on, and I was completely floored. I could not believe the jump from the eye-tracked stuff to just the standard, just standard pixel density across the whole screen. That is such a game changer. And the eye tracking is so fast and responsive. You can't break it. Like I was like, I'm just gonna move my eyes around real fast, and it's not, no, it'll track it. It knows where your eyes are. That blew me away. Like that, when you put that thing on for the first time and you go into a 3D world and you see the eye track, the foveated rendering working. I mean, you can't really see it. It's just a transparent effect. It's incredible. That's the killer feature by far for this thing.
So then for someone like me who hasn't jumped in yet, do you think I should play it on PSVR and then jump to the second version to appreciate the jump? Or do you think I should just wait and just go full bore once
jump
I
into
get
the Ultimate Edition? Yeah, just jump into the special edition.
Yeah,
There's
just
no
jump
reason
in.
not to just be like, all right, get into it. The only thing I say is that I think you should play on Jake mode, which is very hard. But I think if you haven't played the game before, you should probably start on a more normal difficulty, wrap all the systems into your head and kind of understand the systems, and then maybe go back. Whether it's a second playthrough or if you kind of start a new playthrough, deeper into the game, it really does change kind of the fundamental core of the experience in that. And I've said this a couple times now, but it's worth noting. This was a big game. Took a long time to build. It was very challenging. And it was built of lots of different components that were coming online at different times. And so it was a survival game. We had all these cool ideas of like, what that means and how these different systems can work, and how, what types of potions you're going to make to stay alive, and how, tiredness is going to affect you by the end of the day, and like all these kinds of different things. But there were so many of them. When they were all turned on, it was just too much for new users. There was just too much going on, and it was too many things for people to kind of deal with. And so we had to go in and just kind of like knock each one of those things down until the point where some of the systems don't really need to exist in the easier difficulties. You're like, like you never actually end up using this or this or this or this. But I was like, okay, this is the price though. Like it's not easy making a big complex game like this, and of course, not every single system is going to work perfectly in tandem all the time. That being said, in the super hard mode, Jake mode, all those things are up and active, and they all do work together really well when they're all turned on and cranked up all the way. So it becomes a very different experience. And so, the point is, for people who have played the game, even if you haven't finished it yet, on the new mode, I highly recommend you play that really challenging mode. And it is more challenging, it's more demanding, but it's also way more engaging and just really, really interesting.
Please tell me it's actually called Jake mode.
Doesn't really have a name. It's just a big skull, big earrings floating behind you.
Dang. Okay. That's all right. Next game, I expect to see an actual Jake mode. We'll know what you mean. Everyone else may be confused, but I'll be ready for it.
The game will be called Jake Mode. We'll be looking forward to Jake Mode VR. Yeah.
I think our new standard of just like, yes, we are going to have this in from the beginning. You can make it as hard as you want. It's fine. You don't have to worry about things, knowing that we're going to have this natural ramp of difficulties planned from the get-go, instead of just letting me go crazy and making something no one can finish. So.
And there are players out there who are ready for that challenge and actually wanting it. I mean, people requested it, so we formalized it.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, now we're going to move into my favorite segment, the dad joke / riddle section. Real quick though, quick question. You're about to go on a week-long solo survival retreat. Your MP3 player can only hold one song. What is the song in your smoke, guys?
If I was going to go on like you're thinking, like this is a survival sort of thing, like really?
Yeah. Plane crash lands. You lose all the data, but like 5 megabytes.
Right. So, I mean, I don't have a single song in mind, but for me, I would want something kind of early 80s, late 70s Jamaican dub that's just going to everything's going to be okay. We're going to get through this. Something I could just sort of leave on. It's got a nice beat, and it's just sort of going to, let you relax a little bit while you huddle around the fire, hoping for some warmth. I wouldn't want anything too dramatic or scary or sad. I would want something reassuring, I think. Maybe some Tom Petty. Steely Dan, maybe?
Steely Dan. Colin, Raj, you got anything?
I can never remember any of his track names because Richard D. James is interesting, but in Aphex Twin, there's one of those tracks on Drux, one of his albums. I travel a lot, and a lot of times it's kind of stressful and long, and so I know I can put on this one track that has it has piano and crazy drums and everything into it, but it takes you on a journey that helps me just kind of center myself. So I probably choose that.
There's one Aphex Twin track that I could see. Just very happy. Okay. Anyways, Colin.
I've been going down the the Japanese city pop rabbit hole recently. So the only answer I have is Tatsuro Yamashita has a track called Merry Go Round, and it is the smoothest thing, and I could just put it on for infinity and never get bored of it.
That's a very good song. It's a very good song.
I'm making that note. It's called Merry Go Round by
Tatsuro Yamashita.
Tatsuro.
It is so.
He's the Japanese Michael Jackson. He's a legend here. Like I had never heard of him until I lived here again. But he is a smooth operator for sure.
I love that Maria Takeuchi song.
This is her husband.
Plastic Love. Yeah.
Yeah, he is her husband. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, then I need to listen to it. I remember reading about him.
Plastic Love is a great song. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, such a classic out of nowhere, right? Okay, here we go. This is the quiz. So you guys just give me your answer, let you know if you're right and wrong. If you get, we'll say 3 out of 5, I'll send you guys an autographed picture from one of our leftover Christmas cards, if that sounds good. So look forward to that. This is what's up for grabs. All right, if you get it right, you're going to get a ding dong. If you get it wrong, you're going to get a buzzer. All right, you able to hear that? That sound good? All right, let's go quick. You're stranded in the wilderness with one match. There is an oil lamp, a fireplace, and some kindling wood. Which do you light first?
Kindling wood.
Is that your final answer?
That's my final answer.
Wait, an oil lamp, a match, and kindling wood?
No,
you're stranded in the wilderness with one match. There's an oil lamp, a fireplace, and some kindling wood. Which do you light first? Colin.
I'm going to say oil lamp.
Wait, am I allowed to?
Yeah,
no,
you can.
Is this Jake?
No, just
anybody. Yeah, come on.
You gotta light the match. You gotta light the match first before.
No, the match comes with it.
That's it. Yes. It's a match. The answer is a match. It's a riddle. All right, that's 1 out of 5. 1 out of 5. I think I got 5 here.
F.
Maybe you'll get a bonus question. I liked your thinking, Jake, but match. Colin saved you on the survival trip.
I said match. Well, you know what? Colin can take the credit.
I get you. This one is just more of like a riddle joke, a dad joke. How do you get into the annual archery champions ball? What's the trick? Aim high? Oh, that's a good one. It's not the answer we're looking for, unfortunately. Shoot your way in. Okay, Raj, you got anything?
Keep your eye on the ball.
Be on target.
It's unfortunately that's a buzzer. You have to pull a few strings. You have to pull a few strings.
I would have got there.
Come on, guys. All right. This one's a bit easier for you, a bit easier. What do you call a bear? You're walking through the wilderness, you run across a bear with no teeth, you escape, and you're trying to tell your friends what you saw. What do you call a bear with no teeth?
Barely.
Grinning bear.
Haribo.
5, 4, 3,
Barely.
2, 1.
Grinning bear. I don't know.
A gummy bear. Come on, guys. A gummy bear.
Just a little tiny aside, a little shout out to our AI programmer on Song of the Smoke. He's no longer with the studio, but he's a good friend and a brilliant guy, Akeen, and he was our AI guy on all the creatures. And we have a big bear in the game, and he was the undisputed legend of all time bad dad jokes about the bear stuff. Like, you remember how every day he would slide him in? I was like, how do you do these things? It's amazing. Just always. Anyways, shout out to Akeen. He was awesome.
Yeah.
Would you say his jokes were unbearable?
Yes, quite often. They were like unbearable dad jokes. Yes.
All right, here we go. Here's another one. Did we send you these questions ahead of time? It's okay if we didn't. Yeah, I'll cut you some slack. Maybe 2 out of 5 will do.
No, we would have done better if we'd seen it.
Yeah.
How rare is it when you die by falling in your own campfire? How rare is it when you die by falling in your own campfire?
In this game or in real life?
In real life.
Good old man.
Well, I'd say.
I mean, I have been drunkenly, dangerously close a couple times.
geez.
I wouldn't say it's unknowable.
I would say it's medium rare.
Oh, this guy.
Oh, medium rare. It is medium rare. If you die in your own campfire, it is technically medium rare. I think you put that fire out at some point with your own corpse. But, all right, Colin coming through. This guy's Googling hot. That's what I feel some Googling coming from you. What is
I've
that?
seen his hands. No.
Is that 2 and 2? So is this the one that decides it?
The eye tracking for his web
Eye
browser.
tracking. He's looking at Google and it's telling him the answer. It's that AI. All right, here we go. How does someone get over their fear of campfires? This is the last one for the signed autograph picture Christmas card. How does one get over their fear of campfires?
Above it, rise above it.
Rise above it. They learn to blank to them. 5, 4.
We're
3,
so sad.
2,
Oh.
1.
No signed Christmas card for this team.
They learn to warm up to them. There's no hope. There's no way you guys could have gotten these right.
Well,
sorry, I thought Adam was going to send you the questions at least.
No, I
but
want
that's
it to be difficult. But here, I will throw you an easier question. And as we wrap up, we want to honor your time. I want to give you one last opportunity to talk, to brag about yourselves. Why should the listeners who either haven't played this game or have already played it, and maybe why should they go back and play it again in PSVR2? Why should we approach the game Song in the Smoke and play it day one with the PSVR2?
The top reason that I can think of is 2 of the biggest VR publications, Road to VR and Upload VR, both awarded us PSVR Game of the Year when Song in the Smoke came out. So that was the base version. It's twice as good now, so we should get twice as many awards for this game, and you should play it.
That was the correct answer. That puts you over the top. What do you got, Colin?
I don't think that there's anything else like it at launch in terms of like games where you can go in and just have this big open world survival game and just have. I don't think of anything else that is like our game that is going to be there at launch.
There's other survival games, but they're all either PC or Quest games first, or not even Quest, but like native PC versions or whatever flat games brought over to VR. I do think we're still the only like from scratch, from the ground up VR only, really based around all those VR systems that are kind of really well incorporated in, from the get go.
And if you need a ease of entry to compel you, we have a demo. We made a demo. It's in a headset. Just go ahead and jump in and try out the game. We wanted to make sure that people, who wanted to give it a shot could just jump in and check it out. So.
One thing I want to mention is the fact that it is long. Like it is like a 15+ hour game. And it is beefy. It has a lot of systems. It is not like a gentle hand-holding VR experience. Like if you are looking this is a full fat game. and it's meant to
Was
give
it,
you quite a bit of time to
was
enjoy
it your parole, guys? Someone was like, "This is a real ass." Oh, it's John Eternal,
Yeah.
our producer at Sony in Tokyo here. He's like, "This is a real ass video game." Or what do you call it?
Yeah, big ass or something. It's real. Don't let the non-premium price fool you. This is a premium game. We just wanted to make it accessible for people. But it bats way above its belt.
Punches above its weight. Punches above its weight. Yeah, it's a
We're
a
so good
whole-ass,
with
real
jokes
ass
and
game.
phrases.
Yeah.
We'll just stick to making games.
Yeah.
Listen, 17-bit, we want to thank you so much for joining the podcast. I can honestly say this has been maybe, I think it has been my favorite interview of a studio that we've done, and we've interviewed a lot of studios. You guys are absolutely wonderful. I cannot wait to play this game. Thanks for sharing about the PSVR2, about Song in the Smoke, all the enhancements and features that are coming to it. Song in the Smoke, a launch game. Everyone needs to play again or play now for the very first time. You can find this on the PlayStation Store. Go ahead, purchase it. It has that PSVR2 free upgrade. And again, thank you guys so much for joining Play PSVR2, the podcast.
Happy to be here. This has been awesome. We had just as much fun as you guys did, even though we lost all your questions.
You got the last one right. That's a cause for celebration.
Welcome back to Play PSVR 2, the podcast. Alex, I gotta admit, okay, I was skeptical of Smoke, Song and Smoke before. I'm not anymore. Holy crap. I'm serious. When we're done recording, I'm going to go and I'm going to pre-order it. That blew me away. I just looked at like the demos and I wasn't that impressed. But after hearing about what the game actually is, being able to humanize developers, I think certainly goes into that, and actually getting to meet the guys, but knowing that there's like some survival, and I hate to use the genre horror elements associated with it, but something that'll get your blood pumping a little bit in that regard, and then the free jumping. And what psyched me up the most was how blown away they were by this headset. Like that, not just for this game, but just the future of VR and for us to get the headset is really exciting, because even after that, when we just were chatting, they kept reiterating, like, play it in PSVR 2 because it is so much better. And if they're developers, they're around this stuff. If they were that hyped, and they were that excited, and they were that blown away, I can only imagine what I'm going to be like.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like, I'm getting caught up in their hype, right? And maybe that's their whole purpose, is to try to get people hyped up about their game, understandably. But it did certainly feel like, there's hype because you're trying to get people to buy your game. Then there's hype because they're just genuinely excited about it. They're happy about the product they put out. They were happy about it on PSVR, but it sounds like they're finally getting to release what they wanted to release. And I'll admit, I saw the PSVR footage, when the game came out, and I was watching it recently just to kind of like see what this game was about. And it looked to me like one of those games where like it doesn't show well, but when you play it, it's really fun and enjoyable, because I heard all the great things about it, and I'd watch the footage and be like, I'm not quite seeing what people are super pumped about. But then I saw footage of the PSVR 2 version that they released a couple days ago, and it is, as I said, like a night and day difference. Like there's textures there that wasn't there that I was seeing before. And again, it sounds silly, but I'm so glad they included it. That free jump mode just turns it into like a different game. Watching them like run and jump from like cliff to cliff in the footage just entirely changed what I thought this game was going to be, where it jumped from something like a slow, methodical survival, do stuff, to more of like an action survival game. Like it was making me feel like, the first Far Cry. I don't know if you played that, but you're going through the jungle and you're like hunting down enemies and stuff like that, and you're trying to survive. That I really loved that in Far Cry, and they moved away from it in sequels. But this is bringing me back there, and it's turned into like this kind of like exploration and survival and action. You got melee and archery. It's all this fun stuff we like to do in VR. and it just has the solid mechanics behind it. And we got these devs now that really seem like they know their craft, they know what they're doing. A game that was already like an excellent game in PSVR 1 from all the reviews we're seeing is now even better in PSVR 2, and it's like how much better could it get if people already loved it? We're just gonna get the ultimate version. So you said, when we're done here, I already, in the middle of that interview, I already pre-ordered it. So I'm pumped. I'm ready to go. But here's the dilemma, Adam. And this happened with us after Tentacular too. We got caught up in the hype storm. I can't wait to play Tentacular. I can't wait to play Song in the Smoke. And I don't know what my first day with PSVR 2 is going to look like. I don't know how I'm going to shape my launch day lineup, because you and I were both going to play Rez because we got to play Rez. But like, when am I going to play it? Is that going to be the first game? Am I going to calibrate my senses there? Or am I going to be too eager to jump into something new and fresh? Like, I'm getting Horizon. It's coming with my headset. But as great as that looks and as wonderful a showcase is going to be, like, do I need to play that first? Because it might be like, overall, it might be like a B tier VR experience type game. And I don't know where to go. Gran Turismo 7 is already downloaded and waiting for me. Resident Evil 8 is already downloaded and waiting for me. I'm having a hard time imagining, like, my first day, my first 2 days, my first 3 days. What am I going to be playing? What am I going to prioritize? I want you to tell me 3 games you're going to play, the order you're going to play them. What are your first 3 games?
So I think, honestly, having Switchback VR delayed helps a lot, because that was the game that really threw me for my game plan. Certainly, this could change. My thought is, Rez was the first game I played on PSVR. It's going to be the first game I play in PSVR 2. Undoubtedly, 100% very first game I load up. I'm with my chair. I might play the whole thing in one sitting, just finish it. The 4 levels and then Area X. That's 2 hours maybe that you're in Rez. Maybe I'll play like 1 or 2 levels and then go to Area X and then move on. It'll probably depend on the chair. And I do want to do a full like playthrough of Rez while in the chair and like videotape myself in the chair and put in the video. That way people, I don't know, it may not work well, right? Like if I'm moving sideways when I shouldn't be, like, I don't know how it may be a mess, but I think it'll be fun for the viewers to even watch. Like, look at how big of an idiot. So that's the first game. Second, I'm thinking Gran Turismo, because it's going to be pretty incredible. It's multiplayer, so it's something you and I, Shape Dog, J Brat, Will, Donkey, Chaos, all these guys can hop in, play with each other a little bit, be amazed. Like, imagine us driving, you're like, dude, you need to try this Lambo. And I'm like, but I'm in a Bugatti. And then we're talking about just how incredible it looks. And there's some competition there. And just the awe that we'll be in, I think could be really cool. And then I think once the sun goes down, the boobies come out. And I'm going to Lady Dimitrez or whatever her name is. And I'm playing and finishing the night with Resident Evil 8, a good 2 to 3 hours of Resident Evil 8. That, right now, of course it could change, but that is my game plan.
I like your idea of playing Rez as almost a tribute, right? This is your first VR game. You make sure that, like, because, you can go through an entire run of Rez in a matter of like an hour or 2 hours or something like that. And then you're like that, you can check it off your list, right? Like, I did it and I loved it and I can come back whenever I want to. I think my issue is that we do have these very large games that are coming out, these full-length games like Resident Evil 8, like Gran Turismo 7. And for me, when I know a game has a bajillion hours of content to it, I get hesitant to start it. So I also think that's a good idea to, like, go ahead and crack the seal on Gran Turismo 7. And I didn't even factor in the multiplayer aspect. Like, day one, we could all be in the cars just racing around. Just probably having the peak experience we could have in multiplayer Gran Turismo. That's a very good point. So now I'm leaning towards that, but there's looking at the launch lineup right now, there's a bunch of games that I've always wanted to play in PSVR that I had, like Pistol Whip. And I want to play it just because I want to play the game. And now it's on PSVR 2. Why not play now? Now's the time to do it before the even bigger heavy hitters start coming out later in the month. So it's rough, like Thumper, right? If I don't play Thumper now, I'm probably never going to circle back around to it. So it's like I want It's like I almost want to clean out my PSVR1 queue before I dive into PSVR2, but it's rough. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't know. It's too tough to call because the longer I wait to play some games, the more games are going to come out that I'm going to be thrown into the mix. But like I mentioned Horizon, right? Like I never played Batman VR because by the time my bandwidth was freed up to play it, it was already kind of relegated in my mind to like an experience. I've played better things. I don't want that to happen. Like I bought Horizon. I want to be part of the Horizon zeitgeist when it comes out. I want to be able to talk about Horizon and have that be an experience I'm familiar with. But after I play Resident Evil 8 and do that, am I going to want to go back to Horizon and this potential like pseudo on rails experience? I just don't know. And so it's probably going to be Rez. And then whenever you guys message me, we'll do Gran Turismo 7. And
in my mind, you have to have a multiplayer game in there. Now, does it have to be Gran Turismo? No, we could do, Crossfire Sierra Squad. We could do, let's see, Firewall. I don't think is going to be out there.
I don't think Crossfire is going to be out there either. Yeah.
What other multiplayer games will be available for us?
Well, that's a good Tetris Effect. Zenith. After the Fall. The Fall is going to be a really good one. Like that's a really fun game.
Yeah,
despite
Pavlov.
the if he controls Pavlov.
Yeah, dang.
Creed. It's just there's too much. There's
and
too
I mean,
much to eat.
Maybe that's the plan. It's more than 3 games, but we start with Rez, and also you gotta remember again, GameStop. No one has effing pre-orders, so I'm assuming at this point, if it's this late in the game, they're not gonna have them. So then I'm gonna get my freaking headset at like 6 o'clock at night when the freaking mail runs because I'm like the last one on the route. Help me out here, Shafe Dog. I'm gonna get at 6. About time I get it all set up and prepared, it's probably gonna be 7. So Rez, if that takes an hour and a half, well, now I'm looking at 8:30. Some point I gotta eat. Then I gotta play a little bit of Gran Turismo, and then I'm gonna be playing Resident Evil 8 until 1 in the morning, which I'm fine with. But you also have a short window since we're talking about day 1, right?
I'm assuming it's going to come later in the day, and I'm going to have to wait, put my kids to bed, and it's going to be like from 9 o'clock on. But I don't have work the next day, so I'm just going to power through the night, get my kids off to school, power through the day, and just really ruin myself with VR. But that's what I want to do.
I mean, we could play like 40 minutes of Gran Turismo and then hop to Pavlov, play 40 minutes of that, and then separate and play the game that you want to play at the end of the night, which for me is Resident Evil 8. For you, it could be Horizon. Or I see the advantage of wanting a new headset. You want to play the exclusives or like the ones designed for it, right? Because if you look at my games, a lot of them are old PSVR games that are updated. But I mean, I'm pretty set on mine unless we hear something or we have a bunch of people that really want to play after the fall or something that, I would rather play with people than play with myself. I think we all know that. I didn't get a chair to play with myself. So, so that's my plan. I think it's pretty good. Listeners, if you have other suggestions, hit me up, but I don't think there's going to be.
Yeah, let us know what games you're going to be playing. I need ideas here because I am drowning in games that are coming out. I don't know what to do. But Adam, let's go ahead. Let's move on to the sales. There's not too many to cover, but we gotta talk about them because this is, like I said, we got just a couple more weeks of PSVR 1, and then it's bye PSVR 1. We're PSVR 2 all day, every day. Adam, I never thought I'd say this. I think I'm going to buy this game, Deadland VR.
No.
For 9 cents.
What? What? 9 cents? Is that even possible? They have to pay more than taxes to use credit cards than 9 cents.
9 cents for Deadland VR. This is the audacity, right? Like I got to reward the audacity to release this game for 9 cents.
Like that's just insulting. Like I'm still not going to buy it. Wow, that's incredibly low.
Why not release it for free, right? Sony's obviously taking like a 50% cut or something like that. Why not give it away? Maybe you just can't give it away. I don't know. Next, Robinson the Journey, $4.49.
Dude, no. Dude, we're on the cusp of VR2. I know it's a good game, but it's old. You're not going back to play it.
Dance Collider 149.
No, collide my balls.
Oh, EA Star Wars triple bundle, including Star Wars Squadrons, which is why it's on this list, for $17.99.
Put your $17.99 in your sack, mister, and buy Kayak Mirage.
It comes with Jedi, what is that? That one, Jedi Fallen Order and Star Wars Battlefront 2, which did have a nice little VR mode to it, the little short VR experience.
Oh, see, now that you say that, I definitely won't buy it. I don't care.
Okay. Zone of the Enders, the second runner, Mars, for $5.99.
That is a great price. That is a fun game. It's also a somewhat lengthy game. It is a full-length game.
I'll say this, it's a great game. It's just a great game in flat. But talking about VR, we're just pricing this in VR only. What are your thoughts, Adam?
I mean, it's worth to play it, but now, I mean, it would probably be the last game you play in PSVR. If you can stomach that, then yes, you're good.
It's Hideo Kojima, the Metal Gear guy. It's a good game. Anyways, Ghost Giant for $4.99.
It's free on PlayStation Plus. Get the F out of here.
Why does it say PlayStation Plus $4.99?
Oh, I'm thinking of Concrete Genie. My bad.
Yeah. Okay.
No, don't play this.
Honor and Duty D-Day single player for 49 cents.
Dude, it had its time to shine, and it was a great game when it came out. We had a lot of fun with it, but there's no one to play now. And again, don't play with yourself. Play with your friends.
Raw Data for $7.99.
Another good game, old game. You're not going to play it now. Pass.
This is a game that I really wish would just, I don't even need better graphics. Just put it on PSVR2 so I don't got to use those damn move controllers because it's really fun. It just sucks having to use the move controllers. Theseus for $2.49.
Theses, no.
I can't wait for the Theseus developers to make a PSVR2 port. We bring them on, and then you talk about how much you like the game, and then they're going to hear you call their game Theses and say no. Neon Hat for $3.74.
Hat for your wiener, maybe. I'm not buying this. It could be a little, Abe Lincoln hat, top hat.
Space Rift Episode 1, $4.99.
Oh, more like Space ripped a fart in my pants. Don't waste your time or your money. Save it for that PSVR 2.
The Walking Dead Onslaught, $8.99.
Dude, we got Saints and Sinners.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
1 and 2.
No.
And that game right there, that game is great. It's very good. It's very good.
It's got to be a day 2. I can't play that day 1. Plus, I feel like that's a game that you need an hour or 2, right? Like that's not I'm going to log in for 30 minutes and quit. So that's going to be a day 2-er.
You got I mean there's 2 of them, but this isn't that. This is the other Walking Dead game.
Oh, I know. It just made me think about it. That's a game again I knew that I don't remember all these games I want to play. That's one of them I do and but no, don't buy this.
Doctor Who: The Edge of Time, Time Lord Victorious for $7.49.
Who?
Doctor Who.
Is at my door? The effing mailman with my headset. Don't play this game. Give me my PSVR 2. I want to get in my chair and I want to play VR.
The Wizards Enhanced Edition for $7.49.
The Willards? No.
This game, it could have been so good. Lucky's Tale for $6.99.
You're lucky if you haven't played it yet. I'm sorry if you have.
It's just like a broke version of Astrobot. Don't Knock Twice, $6.99.
This is a game I've kind of wanted to play, but I haven't. And let's be honest, I'm not going to play it at this point. Neither are you. Move on.
Red Matter for $8.74.
More like the Red Master. No.
So I really want to play this game. It looks super good. I think I got it from your account or something like that. There's the sequel that people really loved on Quest. Now here's what I want. I want this to be ported to PSVR 2 with the sequel, so I can just play both of them without busted controllers. But why don't I play this game? I don't know.
Alex mooching off me again. What's new?
Vrock for $5.24.
Vrock the Dwayne, get the F out of here. Don't waste your money.
Megaton Rainfall, $5.91.
I mean, it was a decent game. You certainly liked it more than I did. I would say yes, but again, you're running so short on time.
Oh no.
It's the right price.
Guys.
Said Megaton Rainfall, don't do it because it's a good game. That's the right price. But you just don't have the time, man. You just don't have the time.
It's a really good game. Time Carnage for $7.99.
No, complete waste of your time, the taxpayers' time. Don't do it.
Super Hot VR $9.99.
It's so good, but it was cheaper than this before. Wait for a bigger sale. Play it flat if you need to. It's a good game.
Hatsune Miku Project Diva X $14.99.
What's a game equal? No.
Trainer VR $4.99.
I love it, but let's be honest. That game should be cheaper than $5.
The Mage's Tale for $14.99.
That's a no. Don't play. Game sucked.
I can't see what you're doing, Adam. You turned off your camera. I'm just looking at our tentacle lady.
It's the move controllers, man. I just can't get past it.
So, did you play the Wizards?
Yeah, I played both of them.
Which one did you like better?
Gosh, the thing is, they came out like back to back, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I think I like the Wizards better.
See, I think I like Mage's Tale better because it was more action. But they both had so much promise and just didn't deliver. Wanderer for $19.99. Now this is like a Game of the Year contender for PSVR. I really wish I heard that it's getting ported to PSVR2 because I have it. I've been waiting. I don't want to start it if it might get ported to PSVR2.
What's the price?
$19.99.
See, yeah, what I would do with that price in this game is wander over to my PSVR2 and never play this game. That's what I would do.
What about Crisis Brigade for $4.49?
It would be a crisis to waste your hard-earned money and time on this game. Don't do it.
Borderlands 2 VR for $24.99.
I legitimately did not I did not like this game, but I also think maybe I don't like Borderlands in general, so maybe that was my issue.
Yeah. Ski Jumping Pro VR for $9.99. Never heard of this game.
I love games I've never heard of because not only have I not heard of it, but I'm not going to play it.
Blair Witch VR $14.99.
No, it's probably going to suck. I haven't played it, but I'm just going to assume.
Contagion VR Outbreak $7.49. I promise we're almost done, Adam.
No, I'm not playing this.
Anyone's Diary Discovery Edition $8.24.
Well, it made you cry, Skip.
It did not make me cry, although I will say, people, please stop messaging me on PlayStation asking me how to get the final trophy. This game is bugged. You can't get the last trophy. I don't know how to get it. I played and beat this game like 7 times when we were doing the Platinum Challenge because I was so close and the game is glitched. You can't get the last trophy.
Who is emailing you and asking you this?
People are messaging me on PlayStation. You can see who got trophies or something like that. They message me and they're like, "Hey, I see you have all these trophies for Anyone's Diary. How'd you get it?" It's like, dude, I don't know.
That's the only time a woman's messaged you Nancy.
Crisis Brigade 2 for $11.99. Now, Adam. It's getting a PSVR2 upgrade.
Ooh, I had a joke lined up and you put me in an existential crisis. I'm going to have to think about it.
Well, you don't have time to think about it. That's the whole point of this segment. Yes or no?
I hate you. What's the original price?
$19.99.
And now it's $11.99.
Yeah.
I want to do hard research on this and decide. It is something you should consider, but again, I mean, gosh, there's so many games.
I need you to tell me an answer, Adam. You're not getting off the hook. Yes or no?
I hate you. I can't just research it and come back with the answer.
No, this is the sales segment. Yes or no? If you don't say something in 5 seconds, it's a no. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Why do you say no?
Buy it.
Thank God. Buy it. Okay, last one. Boxed In for $3.59.
Oh, I want to make a box joke, but I don't want to get demonetized. So I'm just going to say no and move on.
And that is it for the sales. You got any last words for the listeners, Adam?
I sure do.
Okay.
Listen, 17-bit was so nice. They have given us game codes for Song in the Smoke. What we're going to do is for the listeners, if you've made it this far, you just give us any lyric. We want to make a song in the smoke. So if you give, it could be one line, it could be a chorus, it could be whatever the heck you want. Give us some type of lyric, and you contact at Play PSVR. That's our email. You could put it in the YouTube video. You can put it on, I don't know, anywhere, Twitter, anywhere you want. Just let us know. Your name will go into the drawing. We have several codes. You'll get one. It's going to be great. We've already pre-ordered it, or I'm about to. It's going to be an incredible game that will come with the PSVR2 upgrade once you get it. It is going to be stoked. Don't miss out.
Thank you to our homies at 17-Bit for giving us their time today. They gave us a lot of time. Very generous. Check out their game Song in the Smoke Rekindled edition. But really, honestly, thank you for listening to Play PSVR2, the podcast. You have about 17 or 18 more days of our educated pontification. Enjoy it, because once PSVR2 launches, it's going to be loads upon loads of content for you, your family, and your auntie. We want to see you spread wide open and spread our content all over the globe. So please hit us up on YouTube. We are Gaming is in Session. Review us on iTunes, Play PSVR2 the podcast. I want to read those reviews again. We used to get some reviews, people calling us out. It was wonderful. Send us an email, Adam just mentioned, contact at playpsvr.com. Put a little song lyric in there. You might get a game code out of it. We will get back to you, and we will enjoy it, just like you enjoyed us tonight. For Adam, I'm Alex, and this has been Play PSVR2 the podcast, where virtual reality is our reality.